Did Trayvon Martin reach for the gun? We're here inside the HLNTV.com evidence room. I'm here with Mike Brooks, our in-house detective, HLN law enforcement analyst. And here's the thing. The testimony is that he reached for the gun, yet on the gun, no fingerprint, no DNA from Trayvon Martin found. Let's take a listen, Mike, and show the ladies and gentlemen of the jury the forensic expert who talked about testing the gun for DNA.
I processed the grip, which is on the back side, the trigger, and the back part of the slide here.
All right, Mike Brooks, I want you to explain your interpretation of what she did, what it means, and your analysis of the evidence.
Well, she talked about she processed it for touch DNA, and she only used 3 swabs. And she said she did the back of the slide, the back strap, and the trigger. But she didn't process the bottom of the weapon, on the sides, on the top. And when it comes to fingerprints, she said that she used powder to try to get fingerprint evidence. We heard a latent fingerprint examiner today that said there was 1 print, but they couldn't get anything from that print because it was not of good quality. Why did she not use a hand fumer and use super glue? You don't use powders to process a weapon for fingerprints anymore. That's old science. You know, I think that she could have done a much better job. And also, why not process it with an alternate light source? You know, I was talking to some other of my former colleagues with the FBI, and they were of the same thinking I was. It was not properly done.
All right, another thing that, Mike, you and I did, we went back to our recreated shooting scene to go over another aspect of this struggle that's taking place to place where is Trayvon Martin and the contact that the gun makes with Trayvon Martin's clothes. Take a look. The Arizona watermelon drink actually, Mike, plays a huge role in whether or not this was a contact wound or a non-contact wound when George Zimmerman shot and killed Trayvon Martin. Can you explain that?
Well, we heard in the opening statement by Mr. Guy that it was a contact wound, but here in the autopsy report, which I have, it says, evidence of injury, penetrating gunshot wound to the chest. The last line says, this wound is consistent with a wound of entrance of intermediate range. It doesn't say that it was a contact shot, Vinny.
Okay, so let's bring in our producer, Christo, and demonstrate what the defense was talking about and what may have happened here as we place the watermelon drink in his pocket like it was that night.
Right.
Now, let's first demonstrate what a contact wound is, Mike.
Contact wound would be right up against the shirt, right up against, because he had the sweatshirt on and there was another garment underneath of that we've seen in court so far. That would be a contact wound right up against him.
So it's against the shirt and his body at the same time?
Yes.
Now, under the defense scenario, you've got Trayvon Martin down, leaning over George Zimmerman, and then the impact of this watermelon drink is that it draws the sweatshirt away from his body.
Right. The weight of that would draw that. So what experts are going to have to explain to the jury is it of intermediate range, like the defense says, and not a contact wound? You just see a contact would be right up against him. But the autopsy report, Vinny, says that the wound on the body consists of a 3/8-inch diameter round entrance defect with soot, ring abrasion, and a 2-inch by 2-inch area of stippling. So they have to explain how that stippling on his body, on Trayvon's body, got there with an intermediate shot, like it says in here, and what the defense is saying.
Right, so the two scenarios are the gun is pressed up against Trayvon Martin's body, or it's just making contact with the sweatshirt, which is pulled away from Trayvon Martin's body because the defense is arguing that Trayvon Martin is leaning over George Zimmerman and attacking him.
Exactly.
So the question is, Ryan and ladies and gentlemen of the jury, how does George Zimmerman's story match up with the forensics in this case?
Right.